Like these earrings? Then stay tuned and learn how to make them with me, Happy Maid. So you want to start out with something that you like the circumference of its circle. For me, it's this herbal sleep medication jar and my patina solution jar. They both have great diameters for really great hoop earrings. So you want to take some 16 gauge round wire, some flat nose pliers, as you can see, well loved, some cutters. I forget the technical name, but they cut wire. And then you want to take your 16 gauge round copper wire in this case and just unroll it a little bit and straighten it out. It's always best to unroll the wire and straighten it to get the perfect shape, because if not, you're going to wound up with little kinks and knocks that's going to mess up your earrings. So then once you unroll a little bit of the wire, you want to take it and you're just going to wrap it around whatever bottle you're using. It's pretty simple. So just wrap it. Try to hold it as tight as you can to the circle, because the wire is going to tend to want to bounce up a little bit, and then that's going to make your circle, misshapen. So once you have it wrapped around on the circle, you want to hold it tightly. Grab your flat nose pliers and take the shorter end of the tail and bend it straight up 90 degrees. So you want that tail to stick straight up, literally, so you want it back in your face, as you can see here. So I took it, bent it at a 90-degree angle, and you want to try to have it as close to the bottle as possible to do this, because then next you're going to take this longer tail of wire and you're going to wrap it around. You're going to try to keep it as close to the bottom, because this is, again, is what's going to make the circle perfect. So holding your wire with your thumb and your whatever finger you're comfortable with, take the long tail and start wrapping it as close as you can to the bottle. I usually go around only about once and a half, just because I find that there's no need for all that excess wire wrapping around. It's just wasting wire, and it starts to make the design look a little jumbled. So once you wrap it about 1.5 times, you're going to take your cutters and cut it as close to the wire that's sticking up as possible. Then you're going to grab some flat nose pliers in this case, or I think that's what these are called. And you're just going to wrap it around. Again, you're going to wrap it around the tail that's sticking up. Doing it this way makes it tighter on the bottle, which means that your circle is going to be pretty much a perfect circle. Just be sure not to wrap it too tight, or you're going to have a hard time getting the wire off. So the first hoop's pretty much done. So you're just going to take your wire and do it all over again to make the second hoop. Now you can see both of my hoops are done. They've been tightened, so now I'm going to pull them off the jar. And as you can see, they're a little tight, so I have to jiggle them off. Now once they're off the jar, you can see they're perfect circles thanks to the medicine. And so now it's time to move on to the next step. Okay, now we've taken our hoops over to my little bench block area. As you can see, I have a pretty thick piece of wood sitting on top of a metal bench, a sandbag for noise reduction, a rubber pad for added noise reduction, and a very small anvil that I'm going to upgrade at some point. Then we're going to take our hoops that we made using the circle of some sleep medication pills I have that are herbal, by the way, and a small little hammer that you can pick up at your local hardware store. They sell little fancy ones at Michael's, and of course mussels. So I'm going to roll my sleeves up and just simply get to work, starting with one side of the hoop and slowly working my way around. This is to make sure that I've gotten all of the wire at least one good time before I go in, and then just make sure that I'm getting the rest of it. So as you can see, I went around one time, then I flipped it over, and again, this is just to ensure that I've gotten the entire hoop. And then I'm just going to continue hammering all the way around. And after I've done at least 2 passes going all the way around and flipping it once, then I just go back around and hammer as needed. So that's all you'll see me doing here. It's just hammering as needed. Now that I've hammered the first hoop, I'm checking to make sure that I've gotten all of the wire. Once I feel confident I've gotten all of the hoop, I'll move on to the second one, as you can see here. So now I'm hammering the second hoop, and I'm again just stopping to check and make sure that I've gotten all of the wire. If I haven't, then I'll go back in, and so now it's just hammering and checking, hammering and checking. Now that both hoops are done, they've both been hammered and checked against each other. They're perfect. They match the same. So we're going to move on to the next stage. So now we're going to make the ear hooks using a Thing-A-Magig wire. It's actually called a Thing-A-Magig. I placed the medium in a small peg in the bottom, as you can see. I have some 20 gauge copper wire, and I'm trying to figure out how to do it and you guys see at the same time. So pardon me spinning it around. So what you want to do is take the end of your copper 20 gauge wire. You want to place it on the left side of the Thing-A-Magig and have the bottom of the wire stop at the bottom of the Thing-A-Magig, as you can see here, hopefully. Then using my right hand, since I'm right-handed, you want to bring the wire almost completely around the upper circle to where it comes back to the left side of the smaller circle, so that you're able to make a little swirl, as you can see, and then just continue this circle all the way around, and it'll complete an ear wire. So I'm going to do this again one more time, before I do it again, I'm going to go ahead and cut it with some wire cutters. So then now you have one ear wire, and I'm going to do this one more time to have a match, and so you'll see me do that again now. Now I have two complete and identical ear hooks for my earrings, so the next step is to stiffen them using a hammer, so stay tuned. So now I'm at my DIY hammering station. I have the ear wires that we just made, as well as the circles that will be dangling that we made previously. So now I want to take my ball peen hammer, using my anvil, my rubber for silencing, and my sandbag for silencing, and just begin hammering both sides of the curved part of the ear wires. Again, you're hammering the ear wires to make sure that you're stiffening them, and because you're stiffening them to keep them in to keep the position of the ear wires you just made. So while you're hammering, you want to hammer, check, flip, and hammer. And you're doing this to make sure that you're hitting all sides of the ear wire so that you're getting a good, even stiffening all around, so your earrings will last as long as possible. So you want to do this again for your ear wires as well as the circles, and then once you feel confident in the stiffness and the look of the earrings, you can move on to attaching them, which is what we'll be doing next. Now we get to assemble our earrings so we can finally wear them. So you want to take your hammered ear wires, your hammered circle, and some round nose pliers, and form a circle at the top of your hoops. The way you want to do this is by grabbing your round nose pliers, taking your hoops, and you want to make a circle going the same way as the bigger hoops. So I take my round nose pliers, hold them perpendicular, right? No, parallel to the circle. There we go. Parallel to the hoop. Bend it backwards, and then bring the wire around the round nose pliers. The key for me anyway to getting a good circle is to first bend the round nose pliers backwards first, then bringing the wires forward. So you want to do that. Then I just go ahead and close up the holes now, just to make sure that I don't bend anything out of shape. So that's what you'll see me doing slightly off camera. I apologize for that. And I wrap the wire around until I've filled in all the empty space. And then you want to do this again for the second hoop. Now you see me grabbing some flat nose pliers so I can begin working the twisted wire further into the earring so there's no sharp points or edges sticking out. So I'm going to do this on both earrings. A tip is you can also file the wire prior to pushing it all the way in so you can make sure there's no sharp edges sticking out. So you want to go ahead and do this on both sides of the ear hoops and make sure that you're pushing the edges in nice and firmly, so like I said, there's no edges sticking out. So now we're going to attach our ear wire to our earring hoop that will be dangling. So you want to take the open tail of your ear wire, insert it in the small hoop that you just made, and then begin wrapping the tail around the top part of the ear wire. So you're going to go around it clockwise about two to three times, making sure that you're pulling the wire nice and taut to make sure that you get a nice solid and symmetrical wrap. And you're going to do this on both earrings. I sometimes will do one wrap and then stop and do the other just so I can make sure that they're both symmetrical. So that's what you'll see me doing here now. Once I feel I've wrapped both sides sufficiently, I take my cutters, I go ahead and line it up as close as I can to the base of the ear wire, and I snip away. Making sure that I throw away the excess. Then I go ahead and I finish out the bottom of the ear wire, the circles that connect. I just go ahead and make sure they're nice and flat and even on both sides with some flat nose wires. Now I'm taking my Thing-A-Magig again and I'm making sure that the ear wires are, I guess for me now it's just more aesthetically pleasing. So I'm pulling the wires down to just make them a little smaller, and it gives the hoop a little more, or I'm sorry, the ear wire a little more of a curve, which makes it feel more comfortable in your ear. So I'm going to do that for both ear wires right now. Once you have both ear wires looking the way you want them to, they are both matching and both ear hoops are the same length, you want to go ahead and file the tips of your ear wires so that when you put them on or when someone else puts them on, they're not cutting their ears. And also just it makes them look a lot nicer. And then once you're done, you have this wonderful pair of hoops. And there you have it. We have a finished pair of hammered DIY copper hoops that we made ourselves that you can put on and feel as beautiful as I did. Thank you for watching, and if you like, please thumbs up and subscribe. Take care and have a wonderful day.